welcome to episode 29 of our Swavey podcast. My name is Marlena.
I'm Jeezz.
And today we have Krista here with us. So we met her at the Hill & Company vendor event. And we're going to talk to her about what she does, how she got started, and where she sees herself going. And of course, talk about the podcast we just did a little bit ago and talk about the one that we have coming up. So again, episode 29, stay tuned.
Let's run it.
Here we go. So we met you at the Hill & Company vendor event, which was Black Friday.
Yep.
So I know what you do, but like without getting too like in depth, like what exactly is it and like how did you come about to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a story with it. I mean, just like anything else, right? I didn't wake up one day and I was like, I want to be in e-commerce.
Right.
Like that did not
A lot
happen.
of people don't even know what e-commerce is.
Right. I mean, Amazon's taken over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so many people look at Amazon, they say, oh, wow, I can save money. I'm just going to shop on Amazon, not realizing, one, you're taking away from small businesses, right? And don't get me wrong, I shop on Amazon. I'm not saying I'm like anti-Amazon.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like this consumerism mindset where it's just like, what can I get? Me, right? And not too many people think like, why wouldn't I be able to tap into some of that? You know, he's one of the richest men in the world right now, if not the, right?
A lot of people get excited as soon as they get like you got excited this morning as soon as you get a package.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I order from Amazon all the time. It's the convenience. Sometimes it's the price,
Right.
depending, and how fast it gets to you. Like
They've done a
we
great
don't-
job with that.
Yeah, like where we live, we don't have like a Walmart right by. Like, so do I go to Rite Aid and spend almost double of what I would pay for something, travel 20 to 25 minutes to go to a Walmart,
Right.
or
Right.
go on? I mean, but again, technology. All you
Right.
have to do is go on the app, order something, and you would have it in
Super
2 days.
easy. Yeah. And that's their business model. It's convenience and simplicity.
Yeah.
So, for people that don't know what e-commerce is,
Yeah.
can you describe that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just online shopping. That's literally all e-commerce is. There's so many different ways you could do it, but it's just having a business online.
Yeah.
And it's so genius because so many businesses, people want to start. And I was there at one point. I had all these business ideas, but I didn't have $500,000 to start a business.
Right.
True.
You know what I mean? But if you start a business online, you're taking away overhead like buildings, lights, employees, security, insurance. I mean, there's so much
You
stuff.
save so much money with
You
just
save so much money.
Yeah.
And you still get all the same tax deductions as a regular business.
Yeah. Very true.
You know, you just write off all your home stuff.
So how long have you
Right.
been in e-commerce?
9 years. So I'll tell you, it was definitely a build up how I got into e-commerce. So definitely was not interested in it at all. I don't have a tech background. I actually didn't really even like to shop online that much years ago.
I don't even shop online like that.
Yeah.
I feel like COVID
Did change it.
that.
Correct.
Because like, unless it was a store that wasn't in the area that I was at, you're going to stores, you're trying on clothes. That's how you did your shopping.
Right.
No matter what kind of shopping it is.
All right.
But then COVID happened and you couldn't go to certain stores and you
Right.
couldn't have access to it. So
COVID
then,
changed
okay,
everything.
let's
100%.
everyone shopping online.
Yep.
You know, and that it just became in the convenience of it. Too.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. A lot more people definitely came around to online shopping in
Yeah.
the pandemic, for sure.
They had
But
no
it's
other choice.
been around. I mean, it's been around for a while. So a little bit of background. I'll kind of start where everybody else kind of starts, you know,
Yeah.
right around like, you know, you're graduating high school
Yeah.
and you're like, what do you want to do with your life?
Right.
You're in your senior year and teachers are like giving you options. And I feel like you hear kind of all the same stuff like, oh, like go for accounting, go for be an attorney, be something.
That makes
right?
a lot of money.
Right?
Accounters.
Right? You know, and so like they put you in this box and they try to make you just like, you know, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work for a company for 50 years.
Yep.
Our generation heard that from everybody.
Yeah, who wants to work for a company for 50 years?
Right?
Like, what?
Retire
But
when
that's-
you're, what, 60,
that's what we were
65, and then
If
what, have,
that.
and then 10 to 15 years to live your life before you
I
die.
love how you use
Crazy.
that model now. I've heard you use it multiple times. So I put that in there, and now I hear her bring it up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because the same thing, like with how I was raised and everything, it was like, okay, you know, go to school,
Yep.
you get your degree, and I didn't even pick my degree. it was just like I think you should do this, and
Wow.
that's what I kind of
Wow.
went
What
with.
was it?
Business management.
Okay.
Which he was right. I like my degree because I do feel like it, especially with what I'm doing right now, it's beneficial. But going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
and
nobody
I kind
does.
of wish that I would have branched out a little bit more.
Mhm.
But like it was, that seed was planted. It's like, okay, I'll do that, and then
Yeah.
like, okay, when you're done, like, find a job in your field. But majority of the jobs want experience, but how do you have
know.
experience when you just graduated, unless
Right.
you did an
That's true.
internship
Right.
or something like that?
Right. And then you just
So-
spent all this money on top of it. I mean,
Yep,
college
exactly.
is ridiculously expensive, and it's
Yep.
getting more and more expensive as time goes on.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was all kind of backwards. It never really made sense to me
Mm-hmm.
that you went to school and spent all this money and then started your life in $100,000, and most people get into debt.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of crazy, but besides the point, just like everybody else, I was trying to figure out what to do. I come from a family of healthcare workers.
Okay.
So my mom's a nurse, my aunt's a nurse, and a lot of times you kind of just do what your parents do. So
Yeah.
I was
See
like,
that a lot.
let me go to school for healthcare. And I started taking biology, chemistry,
Yeah.
these classes. I'm like, oh man, this is not coming easy
Major
to
red
me.
flag.
I'm
Nope.
That
struggling.
reminds me that I took one of those, I don't know what it was called this morning. I've been taking them since you guys gave them to me. The one guy, what was his name?
What?
The energy pills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The energy and
Because
focus.
he was like told me everything about everything, and I've been taking them.
Yeah.
Like I took one right before I came here.
Nice.
And I had-
You feel good.
Yeah, I had one of the other energy drinks. I need to get those energy drinks that you guys had.
Yeah.
Because I've been taking these other ones and I just crash off them.
Mm.
And so I don't really
And now
like
you can
them.
see the difference.
And,
Yeah.
So I took that and I took a caffeine energy drink
Nice.
before I came here. So
That's awesome.
Wired.
Yeah, I got my coffee. I'm staying awake for this for sure. That's what's up. Yeah, we got some good stuff. I'll definitely
yeah.
get into that for
yeah, I
sure.
didn't mean to cut you off. I was just
No,
reminding me. Yeah, go on.
For sure. So I started realizing that healthcare wasn't going to be for me. I also really can't handle gross stuff that well, like blood and all that. Like, I can't handle
Yeah,
that
me
stuff.
either.
So I go to my dad. My dad was a great guy. He had a ton of ambition. He was just an alcoholic, so he, had all this ambition and never went through on any of it.
Yeah.
So when I told him, I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. He's like, I've always wanted to own my own business. Why don't we go into business together? He was like, it was like his shot to be in business with me. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm 19. I'm like, that sounds way better than anything else I'm
Right.
looking at. And he always wanted to own an ice cream shop. It was like his dream for some reason to own an ice cream shop.
Should love that.
I love ice
He wanted to call it the Derriere.
cream. The dairy.
That was his idea. He thought it was
Yeah.
so funny. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So I switched my major to business, literally that semester, started taking all these small business courses. We started driving around looking for spots. I mean, like, this was like a plan.
Yeah.
And within that year, I want to say it's a little fuzzy time-wise, but I think like six months later, a little bit more than that, my dad got sick. And he passed away pretty suddenly.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to do. And crazy enough, and I feel like my story is just meeting the right people. And I think a lot of people, if they just met the right people who could help them, they would be so much further along.
Yeah.
But you got to be open to it, right?
Some people are stuck in a box.
Right. You got to be ready to receive. So a couple months later, I'm still going to community college just for business. I'm waitressing on the weekends, and I'm waiting on this table. I start talking to this guy and his wife. I find out he's the director of entrepreneurship at Duquesne University. He had 12 companies he
The
started.
director of entrepreneur. That's an
He-
actual thing.
Yeah, so he created the entrepreneurship program at that university.
Wow.
And this was years ago. This was like, now there's entrepreneurship programs in a lot of schools today, but not years ago.
No, and that's also something that I wish more schools bought
Did.
into.
Right.
Because again, COVID, I say this all the time, I feel like COVID really opened that door for people
Agreed.
to explore entrepreneurship
Agreed.
and really, get out of that 9 to 5 mentality
Yep.
and really see like, what am I passionate about? What am I, what gets me excited? How
Right.
can I make money off of the things I like to do?
Yeah,
So
100%.
I wish more schools had
Right.
that
So I didn't know that was a thing. I just met this guy. I'm just like waiting on some guy, you know what I mean? So I end up like sitting down with him, getting to know him and his wife. He gives me his card, his personal number, because I told him my story about my dad and how we were going to start a business together. And he goes, "Come to my class." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm not a student at that unit." I mean, it's like a nice it's a very well-known private school in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and I go, "What do you mean? I'm not?" And he goes, "I don't care." Like typical entrepreneur, right? Rule breaker. He's like, "I don't care. Just come sit in, come observe." And it was right at the beginning of the semester, so I literally came. I was like, didn't know where I was going, trying to find this classroom in a university I'd never been to. I mean, this was a big risk on my part being, so I was 20, 19, 20 years old. And I sit in and he's like, "Oh, hey everybody, this is Krista. She's just going to be observing." And I stayed for the whole semester and I got to know this guy. This guy also had a radio station. This was before podcasts, right? This was, 10 plus years ago. He had a radio station called The American Entrepreneur, and he interviewed entrepreneurs. So pretty much what you guys are doing is what he did.
Yeah.
And
That's dope.
Yeah. So long story short, I said, I want to be mentored by this guy. This is a perfect opportunity to get close to somebody who could help me be a successful entrepreneur.
You gotta find the person that's gonna. We were just talking about that the other day about finding the right mentor.
Yep.
You got bad mentors out there, and you got
Totally.
good mentors, and you find the right one, they can take you to the next level.
100%. Yeah. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. The only thing is, I didn't have the best grades in high school, and I never took the SATs. I was not a big school person. Let's just say that. That's why I want to be an entrepreneur, right? Most entrepreneurs don't get all A's and B's in school.
Right.
True.
Did you ever read the book by Robert Kiyosaki, Why A Students Work for B Students Why A Students Work for C Students and B Students Work for the
I
government?
never even heard of that book before.
Oh man, life-changing book. Life-changing book. Just think of the title real quick.
You guys heard of it?
Why
That book.
Why A students work for A students work for C students and why B students work for the government is the title.
Huh. Okay.
So C students are typically the entrepreneurs, A students are typically employees. That's basically what he's saying. And B students are middle of the ground rule followers.
Right.
Go work for the government.
Yeah,
But
I don't follow. No, I'm
Yeah.
big on breaking rules.
yeah. But great book. Great book. But so I wasn't a great student, so I couldn't just go to Duquesne. It was a pretty well-known private school that you had to qualify to get into. So what I did is I got an associate's degree at CCAC,
Okay.
and then I transferred the whole associates over to Duquesne, and then they took me in. So it took me like a year to get into Duquesne. It took me some time. Now, this guy's name was Ron Morris, the guy I'm talking about. He unfortunately was battling cancer when I met him, and I hadn't seen him for a year, so I didn't know how bad it was. And I'm not even joking. 3 weeks before I'm supposed to start my class, I can't wait to see him. Can't wait to tell him I've been working on myself. I've been listening to his radio station. I've been reading books. I get a call 3 weeks before classes start that Ron Morris passed away.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, first of all, my dad was the guy, my mentor, who was going to help me start a business. Then my dad passed away. Now I meet this new guy who drops into my life. I think he's going to be my mentor, and he passes away. So I'm like, what do I do now, right? And what's crazy is, and I want to mention this because a lot of people go through a lot of hardships, and they get really down on themselves, and it holds them back, and they stop. It's like they stop right in their tracks when they hit a
You
hard
gotta keep
time.
that full momentum.
100%. And you got to realize you're writing your story.
Yeah.
Just like I'm telling my story today. If I just told you, oh yeah, I woke up one day, wanted to be in e-commerce, it went really well, within 5 years I was financially free. That would be the most boring podcast in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to hear that. Think of every great movie.
It's that story.
It's
man.
that story.
It's that journey, it makes you
Yeah.
appreciate it too at the same time.
There's always like failure and then success, right? And I just had to realize that. Like I was down, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I wasn't giving up. So I still went to Duquesne, hoping I could meet somebody there. Like I was just on search for a mentor. I was so young. I had no money. I had no experience. What the heck was I gonna do?
Right.
But I knew I wanted to be a business owner. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to do something cool. I wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
I did not want to just get some job where I'm
You wanna do it
sitting
your
behind a
own- you
desk
wanna
every
have
day.
Your own path.
Yeah. You only live once. You know what I mean?
People think they get a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth life.
Nope. And the last thing I want is to be 65 and say, I wish I would have taken more risks.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done more with my life.
That's right, 'cause we be talking about that all the time.
Yeah.
I talk about that it's every other day.
Yeah, yeah. And some people just think differently, you know what I mean? Some people are totally, and thank God some people are meant to be employees.
Yeah.
Thank God there's people that want to
We
be a
need
doctor.
employees. We need
Yeah.
people that want to do those jobs.
Right.
They want to
Fly
work at the gas
planes
station.
and yeah, work at the gas station.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that. Like, some people are okay with just living their life as their
Right.
life, and
And
not
that's
to
fine.
use the word basic, but it's just their life,
Right.
whatever that is. But then you have that other percentage of people that don't want to
It's the
wait
balance.
for a paycheck.
Right.
You have those other people that want to, make something of themselves,
Mhm.
create generational wealth.
Correct.
And personally, that's essentially one of my goals. I would like to create generational wealth and just be able to provide for my future kids, like how my dad was able to do for
100%.
my brother and I. Granted, he was
Boy.
yeah, well, he was a state trooper, so like that was
wow.
his route, and
That's kinda cool.
he did that, and now he's an entrepreneur.
Wow.
Now he has his own, so it's kind of funny. Like, I'm still a 9 to 5, like I still have a job and everything,
Mhm.
but that's not my end goal.
Absolutely.
So, but again, everyone has their own why, but it's so much better knowing that you can work for yourself and,
Right.
You're doing something you like to do. Majority
Right.
of people that have jobs don't like them.
Right.
I don't like my job.
I know. I never liked the job I had.
No, it was just temporary. He's had every job you could imagine.
Me
and
too,
it's
man.
always just been
I feel
temporary.
it. I feel it.
Until
Yeah.
like I tell you all the time, and it has to get to a point where like you decide like enough is enough,
Right.
and I just never was really a good employee.
I understand, man.
I was lazy when it came to the job, but when it came to myself, like I put 100%, 100% in it, and I don't have had a job in a while, and I feel like it's like you would think like I wouldn't even have time to have a job,
Right.
as much as I'm on go,
Right.
like I'm on go like 24/7, whether it's trading or
Yeah.
or ECX or in my music or with the brand. I'm just like one thing to another. I'm
Right.
looking for the next investment,
Right.
like and so on and so on and so on. I did every job. I've done all the McDonald's. I've done the Burger Kings. I've done the tacos. I've done working at their grocery stores. I've
Right.
used cars.
Amazon.
I've done Amazon.
Did Amazon?
I've done Amazon twice. I've done banks. I've done security. I've done that guy that kicks you out of the clubs. With the killer cowboy. I've done it all until I realized that I keep getting fired. And I would just quit.
Yeah.
It's
And
just not for.
Yeah.
I just,
really
I really, what I wanted to kind of like get to is like I kept realizing that I couldn't stay at this one place because like I feel like I was getting comfortable, but like I'm only here until I can find the next big thing.
Yeah.
Until I can get paid more. Like I'm not gonna settle for this amount of money every single week or this every 2 weeks. I gotta figure out how I can, so when something else come along, I'm going.
Yeah.
Until I find the next big thing where I'm like, okay, I can post up here for a while until I decided that I just want to work for myself.
Right. That's definitely the mark of an entrepreneur. If you don't like your job and you try a bunch of jobs and you consistently don't like jobs or you don't like to be told what to do, and that was me. The moment somebody told me what to do, I was like, I'm out. I have value. I can go at any job. I don't need you telling me what to do.
People, you sit in this place where like you allow people to talk to you however they want to, degrade you.
Right.
And feel like you need that position. Then once they decide to leave you, let you go, now you have nothing.
Right.
And I just realized that like that wasn't my value. I tried out everything from photography, the music, the choir, the band, the playing Mr. Scrooge, plays, and I wasn't this kid like, all right, well, I didn't try everything. I went to college. I've done everything. So like now I know that none of that stuff was for me.
Right.
So now it's time to put it in myself. Because I did all the crappy jobs. You can't say I didn't work them all. Like I worked every single one of them, and I just didn't like frying fries. I didn't like it. It just didn't seem.
Especially doing that for the long term.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But there's also the flip. Some people are
Some
okay
people
with
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
That's the balance
and they
in the
go.
world.
Because
But it's
sometimes I
more-
want fries at 11 at night. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We literally last night we're like, damn, where can we go and get some food? Like, okay, we live in Mount Washington, so like some places are open, but like not really. And they were like, damn, nothing's really like
Sheets.
open, right?
That makes you-
We don't even have that near.
Yeah, you'd
you
have
know,
to travel a
I'd
little
have
bit,
to
yeah.
travel. All you have is like these little corner stores
Right.
or bodegas or something like that. Like we don't really have anything.
That's what kind of makes you who you are, though. You know, like all those jobs, like I feel like that really humbled me. You know, like I'm somebody like, yeah, I made it to a lot of places in life, but like I've been a very humble person because I've done. You told me you were. I mean, I've done it 3-4 times.
Yeah, and now you know what you don't want.
You know, I know I just didn't want to do it,
Right.
but like I've never been like the proud or had any type of pride. You know, like
Right.
I like this is what I got to do to get to where I got to get to. You know, and I've done those things, and I did it for so long. I just realized that you gotta be tired.
Yeah.
You know,
And you took risks.
and it took
You
a
know,
risk.
whether you're an employer or an entrepreneur, you got to take risks. You can't always be so afraid of what if.
Yeah.
You're always going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
nothing's,
that's true.
you know, out of all the crazy things I've done, no one's ever punched me in the face. No one's ever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've never been hurt. It's just, you know, you
Yeah.
just try things. And,
Either it works out or it doesn't.
or it doesn't.
And then just on to the.
and you pick yourself back up
Yeah.
and you go again.
So speaking of e-commerce, like what exactly is it that you sell? Or I'm sorry, not sell, but like your business.
Yeah.
Like what is the business specifically?
Yeah, and I'll try. Like I said, if I get into too many specifics, it'll be confusing.
Right.
But
Be here for hours.
but mostly we focus on consumables, so stuff that people need and buy over and over again.
Okay.
So it's the type of
Your
business.
everyday.
Yeah. So I don't need millions of customers.
Right.
I need a few good customers that
Consistent ones.
buy,
Yeah.
use it, and buy again.
Okay.
And that's what I love about what I do. It's pretty much recession proof because everything I sell people need and people use.
And you're really not taking any money out of your own pocket, right?
No.
It's just you're taking whatever
No.
and putting a certain price tag on it.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
yeah.
and then
Explain that
marketing
to
it.
me, like how you.
So we work with a specific manufacturer.
Okay.
So when you manufacturers, that's all they do is they manufacture products, right? They're not distributors.
Right.
They need to find distribution channels.
Right.
So if somebody decides whether it's clothing, whether it's whatever, they need to find, okay, I'm making this, now I need to find a way to distribute this product. What a lot of companies, especially new ones starting out, do the traditional route, right? They go to the Targets, the Walmarts, they go to retail stores. Now, once again, this is why something costs this little bit to make and then this much to sell,
Right.
right? Like the stuff you buy is not what it takes to make it,
Exactly.
right? It's not what
Yeah.
it costs. So most companies, you have this major distribution channel. You go from manufacturer to wholesaler to broker to retailer to consumer, and so many hands touch products. And you lose money every time a hand touches a product because everybody wants to get paid.
Right.
Right? So what we do is we go straight from manufacturer to consumer. If you've ever heard, have you ever heard of network marketing?
Yeah.
This term network marketing, right? A lot of companies do it and a lot of companies do it bad.
Yeah.
Right? They bring in the wrong people. There's some network marketing companies that make money on recruiting. So they just try to
I
like
know.
recruit anybody, you know what I mean? And then they end up, and that's when you like meet kind of like the weirdos. I'm not going to try to be rude or anything, but there's some people that are just odd that shouldn't be in
Yeah.
business or a front end of a product.
Okay.
You know, you should be professional in representing
Right.
products professionally.
Right.
But some people, if I made money to recruit somebody into my business, do you think I care at all what they're like if I make money on it? You know what I mean?
You're just trying to bring in money, just trying to bring in new people.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It fills your pockets.
Yeah, and it psychologically takes this like mindset of not caring about other people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I've always cared about other people.
Yeah.
I have a faith. I love people.
It's your reputation at the end of the day. Like I'm big on who I am.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't know me for like, because like even I'm in a big network business right now. Just one of the many investments that I'm in.
Yeah.
And it is an educational platform, but it also is a place where we recruit people.
Okay.
But when I do, I'm always very truthful and honest about what they're getting into and the value. They be a student first.
Yeah.
And then learn the other aspects of this company.
100%. Yeah.
And I take these guys underneath the wing, but like I kick it with them. And I spend like 3, 4, 5 calls with them every single day.
Absolutely.
We going out to dinners. I spend a lot of time building the culture.
Right.
But then again, I have certain mentors and going back to that, is that people that just don't care and they're just like, I'm
Right.
just trying to bring in the money. I really don't
Right.
care about you. You know,
Right.
that's just never been me.
Right. So I always say it's, you never want to blame an industry if you have a bad experience, right? If you have a bad experience with an attorney, you're not like, oh, all attorneys are horrible. Actually, I know somebody like this where they're very fixed minded. They're not, they don't see the light in things. They're very negative minded. And anytime they have a bad, like I actually asked a friend about a chimney sweep. We just moved into a new house.
Okay.
And he goes, oh, I had a chimney sweep come by. All chimney sweeps are crooks. He had one bad experience, and now all chimney sweeps are crooks. So some people think that way. But truthfully, I'm sure there's some really good chimney sweeps out there that are really honest, right? And it's no different with e-commerce, network marketing, whatever you do, clothing, right? It's just, you just never know. But sometimes people have bad experiences with network marketing because of this recruiting factor. They just want to recruit, so they recruit anybody.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, the pyramid scheme.
Pyramid
Right,
scheme.
right.
Then they put out a YouTube video about it, and then they say, no, I had guys like that just recently, like, yeah, I seen all this information. Oh, well, they just had a bad experience.
Money is a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, some people think everything's a pyramid.
If you don't know how, anything outside of a 9 to 5 is a pyramid scheme. If you don't know how to properly, how to properly make money and grind from it, it's a scheme.
Yeah.
It's a scam. It got to be a scam.
Corporate America is the biggest pyramid there
Yeah.
is. Let's be real here. You never make more than your boss, so what's the difference?
That's
you know
a
what
scam.
I mean? That's a scam, yeah.
Well,
You're the one getting taken advantage of. You get paid so little and they make so much on you.
and you get to shove late 2 times.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got done.
Late 2 times.
2 times, and it's like 10 points. It's time for you to go. You gotta
Yeah.
find somebody else.
But it's all based on your programming. What were you taught growing up?
Yeah.
On your belief system, right? And then are you willing to change it? Are you willing to expand your mind, get into books, learn from somebody, get a mentor, change your mind? Or are you just going to stay exactly where you're at and follow the exact path your whole family had?
So I had this thing, and just the other day, it reminded me, I was with this guy at the gym, and he has a little bit of a speech, how you call it? Impediment. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I just got there, and I'm in the back. And this guy's up there. He's talking to. So the guy, he wants to be a bodybuilder. And so this guy, he's just sitting there. He doesn't even bodybuild, but he's at the desk and he's just talking to him. And he's standing there for like 20 minutes trying to get this guy not to bodybuild. He's like, yeah, they're on this, and yeah, this guy that's on steroids, on train and stuff like that. He was like, this is what it's going to do to you, and it's angry, and you're this size, and you can't do this and do that. And then by the time I was just listening, I was like, this guy's an asshole, so by the time he's done, he walks off, and the kid's like, I'm so dumb. I shouldn't even think about bodybuilding. And,
what a shame.
And I wasn't gonna say it's not that I don't like the kid, He just did a couple of little things that got on my nerves, But then I went up to him, I was like, you gonna let this asshole tell you that you can't bodybuild? He was like, well, what if Arnold Schwarzenegger and these guys are on? I was like, well, you don't really know. I was like, and why are you gonna let somebody that doesn't bodybuild put fear into you just because he can't do it?
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
And what is he sitting up here 20, 30 minutes? He's supposed to be working out.
Right.
He's trying to put his fears onto you, and it just kind of like disturbed me, like, because that's how the world is.
Right.
I was like, you're trying to tell this kid that's so focused on bodybuilding that he can't do this, and really you need to tell him, like, this is what you want to do. Regardless of your frame, regardless of your size, you can do it, just you got to have the work ethic. You're talking about you're only eating 1 time a day, but now you need to be eating 4 or 5 times a day. He's telling you this, like, for somebody to come, because so many people put their fears on me, because I'm in one of the hardest industries to be in sometimes, and I just look at
why do you think that is?
Because one, there's so many different reasons why that is. I want to hate, it's envy, it's because they own fears, it's like I need to do this. I tell this all the time, just because they have a job, when people do that to me, it pushes me, to work more harder, because. Just because you think that, go ahead. I'll take this as far, super far, and I say that with somebody that comes around from a different generation, like, oh, you need to work a 9 to 5. No, you needed to work a 9 to 5. That doesn't mean that I need to work it.
Right.
And it just reflected me, I had a big reflection on him, seeing how because it took that from that guy telling this person, and then he was about to give up. I was like, yeah, but some people give up, and some people like take that like, all right, I'm gonna take it to the next
It's a
level.
shame. Did you ever hear the story of the crabs in the bucket?
No. Oh no, I did, but I can't remember. It's like
It's quick. Basically, it's if you put a crab in a bucket, you don't need a lid. One crab will not crawl out of a bucket. You can test it yourself. I mean, we live in Pittsburgh. We don't got crabs around here. But if you put a crab in a bucket, you don't need a lid. The moment you put another crab, or I'm sorry, you do need a lid when you put a crab in a bucket. I'm so sorry. When you put a crab in a bucket, you do need a lid. The moment you put a second crab in the bucket, you don't need a lid. Anytime a crab tries to crawl out, the other crab will pull it back down. The moment you put multiple crabs in a bucket, the other crab pulls it back. And it's very much like society. Anytime somebody tries to get out of their circle, they try to go further, they want to succeed, there's always somebody that says, nope, 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 I'm not going to let you succeed past what I'm doing. I want you back down here with me. And it's usually, unfortunately, your family and friends.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
very true. It's always your family and friends.
Yeah.
And you think that we were having this conversation on the way up here, like, and my one friend, he always says evolve or die. You know, like, I was looking at, like, I love these people that have been in my life, but they're part of the reason they're holding us back.
Yeah.
And because they don't want to evolve, you know, and they just keep trying to bring me down and bring me down. Like, I love you, but I gotta go now. And I'll get next to the next person that's trying to, you know, still continue to keep evolving because I got so much love for these people. But these are the ones that don't even want to support me.
I know.
I send a message, they just, somewhere along the way, either they didn't support at first or they just stopped doing it. And those are, like you said, are the cries that...
And we didn't get a lot of support when we started from...
None.
Well...
Not from our families, from friends.
No, I mean, I feel like you had more support from your side than I did. But, like, I assumed and expected support because that's how I was raised. Like, it doesn't matter what someone's doing or who they're with or whatever the case is. Like, you support that person because you love them.
That was it. That fear.
Yeah, and it was just like, well... I didn't know this was your business, or like I didn't know, like, you know, I didn't know anything about it. And it's like, no, you did. You're just not paying attention enough because it's just not important to you. But that was the hard part. Is like, one, to not have those expectations anymore. It doesn't matter if it's family or not. But two, it really changed my perspective to I don't need their support. I mean, eventually I got it, and I still have it now. But like, I don't need it. So like, it changed my perspective to just keep on the path that we're going, because eventually we will come across like-minded individuals and people that do support us, either, you know, from meeting us for, you know, the first time or knowing us for, you know, a certain amount of years. But, you know, we did have a larger group of people that, you know, was supportive. We'd all go to the events that we have and stuff like that. And then, you know, as time goes on, people fall off, and, you know, different life things happen and stuff like that. So now it's literally maybe like a handful, if that, you know, of people that, you know, continually support us, you know, are there if we need it, but also just, you know, want to see us win as much as we want to see
so important. Them win. And I'll tell you what, people will either say, I told you so, or I knew you could do it.
Yeah,
you're going to hear two things. You're either going to quit on your dreams, and all the negative people will say, I told you.
Yeah.
Or you're going to keep going on your dreams, and every time when you hit your goal, they always say, I knew you could do it. Even though they didn't say that, and you're like, no, you didn't. You're right, you didn't say that.
So what are some of the challenges that you face with e-commerce? I mean, you kind of touched on that a little bit, but like more specifically, because you said that things go from the manufacturer to you guys, because you're essentially the distributor.
Correct.
So for instance, like Bounty paper towels hypothetically would go from their manufacturer to you
if I worked with Bounty.
You worked with them.
Correct.
Right. So like the distributor is like a Walmart, like one of those are distributors, or those are
retailers.
Okay, retailers. So it would have touched.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Gotcha. Because I know you said like the more pans it touches, it loses
Right.
Okay.
You pay more for it, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So we get the product at a wholesale cost from the manufacturer, and then we sell it at retail. So you could technically call us retailers, but distributor is probably a better word because we're not. Because retail is considered brick and mortar. We're not brick and mortar.
Right.
We're all like running businesses out of our house.
Right.
Right. But a lot of the times I don't even touch it. Like people just go to my website and buy stuff.
Buy it.
Yeah. So which is beautiful. Challenges with e-commerce, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, not too much with the actual being in e-commerce. It's
Right.
actually been, when you find a good manufacturer, it's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Now, although business online was growing in the pandemic, there actually hit the biggest wall in the pandemic because manufacturing was struggling because we couldn't get products
Right, because of COVID.
because of
People
COVID,
weren't working.
right?
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I remember we couldn't get these little, aerosol cans with those little, we couldn't get those little tops for like a year.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just like manufacturing it took a hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like people wanted stuff, but we couldn't get it because of COVID and all, people couldn't work
Restrictions.
together,
Right.
restrictions, people getting sick, taking time off. And, that was probably the biggest thing that hit me. But to be honest with you, it's funny. There's a statistic that, I think 95% of small businesses fail, right? I don't think it's because people have bad business ideas.
No.
I think people just
Quit.
either quit, it gets too hard, life gets too tough with owning a business. When you have a job and your grandma dies, you get some time off. You own your own business, you got to keep rolling.
Right.
Yeah, we were just, one of our mentors, Nano, he says that a lot, and I just seen something with, what was it, Terry? Remember the rocket ship?
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. Yeah, like it says,
Nice.
just
was
for
Tyler
example,
Perry.
it's just like he was explaining how when a rocket is going up, the reason that it,
Like the boosters.
the
what-
boosters will
Yeah.
fall up, but like when it's going up, the reason that it continues to get out into the outer space is because it keeps the momentum. And with me, I've always decided like whatever I'm gonna be doing, my plan is just to outlast everybody. Continue to keep the momentum. I was talking to my friend the other day. I was like, I know things is tough right now, but I remember being in the Trump Tower. I remember being on the 50th floor. I remember sitting across somebody that really, really did it. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know how I got here. And I remember one of the questions I asked him was like, well, with all the struggles and all the things going on, what is one of the things that got you through everything is everything comes back to that momentum. It's just like not quitting regardless of how much pain and struggle and things that you go through.
Right.
It's just
I
continue to
think
keep pushing.
also depending on the business you're in, like with Mon8, the other part of it is like you want to get people to see the product that we're selling, but 2, you want people to join. But when you get a lot of no's, it deters
Right.
you. Like that's like okay, like
Right, negative.
Or
Right.
it pushes you. Because
yeah,
that
it,
knows
right.
like
So
I'm
it
gone.
can
Right.
it can go either way.
Right.
But how many no's?
Different personalities take it different ways.
Right. How
yeah.
many no's will you hear before you hear that yes?
Right.
50 to 100.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the story
every
of
no.
Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Prime
mean,
example.
thousands of no's.
Look, a
Now
lot
look
of the
at
companies
Disney.
started knocking on doors.
Right.
A lot
Right.
of those companies started from that. How many no's do you
Right.
think they got?
And sometimes I think it's a test. Are you ready for this next step? Do you deserve the money that's coming? Do you deserve the business that's coming to you?
Right.
Because if you can't even handle some no's, how are you going to handle a large business?
Right.
You
A lot of
know?
those businesses fail, and then they come back
Well,
and
you
they fail.
look at a lot of these businesses, and not everyone is buying their product.
Right.
Not everyone buys Bounty paper
Right.
towels.
It's always competitive.
There's other paper towels.
Right.
Right. So you don't always have. It's just the consistency of people.
Right.
That's all that it is. Like I like Bounty more. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I like their paper towels more than I like, other brands' paper
Right.
towels. So I will continue to buy them.
Right.
Also, they evolve. Like all products have to evolve.
Well, yeah.
Unless it's like
technology-
something that's just like perfect,
Well,
like electric.
Someone's always going to come out with something bigger and better.
You know, like unless it's like electric. Electric is perfect. We need electric.
Yeah.
It can't get better than electric unless it's solar. Obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said electric, like toothbrushes. Now toothbrushes are
Yeah.
moving on to the electric side, and more people like that. But some people will still stick to your regular
Right.
toothbrush.
Right.
But everything is. But yeah, you have some books. Sorry for
Yeah,
going off topic.
I've
All right, so it was hard to even pick a few. And then some of the top ones that I have really helped me throughout my journey, I've lent out to people and haven't gotten back, so
Of
I don't even
course.
have all of them,
Of
you
course.
know what I mean, out of my hundreds of books on my bookcase. But I will say reading is such a game changer. I was not a
love
good
it.
reader. I just personally can't sit still. Like, I have issues with just sitting still for
Yeah.
long periods of time. I was never that person who, like, curled up on my couch with Harry Potter and stuff like that. Like,
That
you
was
know what I
wrong.
mean?
That was
I love Harry
wrong.
Potter.
Yeah.
I like the movies, but, you know.
Love
But
it.
besides the
When
point.
you find a good book, it intrigues you.
Yeah.
You like that book has to speak to you in a way, or else
Right.
you're not going to read it.
Right.
I feel like that's for all books, no matter what the topic
True,
is. Like
true.
it has to intrigue you.
I like to read to learn.
Right. Exactly.
Personally,
Mhm.
if I'm gonna be entertained, I'll watch a movie or something.
Right.
But I like to read to learn.
Mhm.
And I heard it this way one time because a lot of people listen to audiobooks too, which I'm not. I mean, audiobooks are great, but
Yeah.
I heard somebody say, you know, when you listen to an audiobook, it's somebody else's voice telling you what to do.
Right.
But when you read pages off a book with your
That's a good
own
point.
eyes, it's you telling you,
That's a
and it
good
hits
point.
you a lot differently, right?
I'm not a fan of audio.
Yeah.
books. Or like even like my mom is a big reader, and then once a Kindle came out,
Yeah.
that's where she does all her reading.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this. I have a bookshelf, and it has all the books, majority of the books that I read that aren't, back at my parents' house. But
Mhm.
there's something about having a physical book
Absolutely.
and being able to like take a highlighter
Yep.
and like
Yep.
highlight or like, bookmark a page
Yep.
or something, and then being able to come back to it
Like,
later. Like that, exactly.
you know what I mean? This
Yep.
book is probably the most studied book I
What's
have.
that?
What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Sorry, it's pretty beat up. This is one of
Oh, I
my
like that.
my
What to say
faves.
when you talk
Dr. Shad Helmstetter, really good stuff. It's basically like he talks about how you can rewire your brain by what you say. Basically, your brain's a computer and your mouth's a programmer. So if you don't like anything about yourself, you can actually change it. For instance, I have one here tabbed self-talk for worry. And he writes out things you can repeat out loud. And just the first few lines, I do not worry. I am in control of my own thinking, and I think only those thoughts which create and fulfill the best in me. My mind is constantly in tune with the positive. It is bright, cheerful, enthusiastic, and full of good, positive thoughts and ideas. Like, if you said that to yourself every day out loud, especially in the mirror, I know it's awkward, but if you said this stuff to yourself in the mirror, you don't think you'd start to believe it?
Yeah, you've heard of Mel Robbins?
Oh, yeah,
So
I love
I was
Mel
in
Robbins.
a conference with Monet last year in Atlanta, and she was one of our
They
speakers.
brought her in.
Yes,
Wow,
they did. Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
they brought Tony Robbins this year. They were in St. Louis.
No
and they had him there.
way.
Yeah, well, when I was there
Wow.
last year with Mel Robbins, she, it was like this hour and a half long, talk in this auditorium and
Yeah.
stuff. But she basically, there was one example, like she had this sticky note, and it said like 5 things or something.
Yeah.
And she said like she put it on her bathroom,
Yeah.
bathroom mirror.
Yep.
And she repeated it every day. So what I've developed over time is I have a reminder on my phone from 8 a.m. to 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Every hour is a different reminder, just for like self-help or
For sure.
motivational or whatever
For
the
sure.
case is.
It's a really
But,
good
like,
app for that too.
yeah,
There's an
and
app
it's
called
just-
I Am. I have it. It sends me positive affirmations
I'll have to look
all
that
day.
up. Yeah.
And then now you have widgets on your phone, right?
Yeah.
And now
they pop
it's
up.
just on my screen.
Yeah.
Actually, well, I'll tell. Mine says, "I accept compliments easy" right now. That's what it says.
Right. But like just like with Mel Robbins and her story, and
Right.
like,
She did the 5-second rule, right?
I have that book.
That's how
Haven't
I know
finished
her.
it, but I have that book. But even like just with her story and that little tidbit of what she shared at that conference, like every reminder is what to say when
Right.
you talk to yourself.
Right.
Like okay, like my first one 8 a.m. is pray and lead with purpose.
Yeah. Well, I love
So
it.
every day at 8 a.m. I try to do that.
Yeah.
9 a.m. is like I know God's in control.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like different things,
Yeah.
but it has to relate and
Yeah. Well, the thing is with the world today too. I mean, there's so much negative. Everything's trying to put fear into you because they know that's what people go for. Fear makes money. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we
social
got
media doesn't
social
help.
media. You're
And all
playing
of
the
our
comparison
businesses,
game,
yeah.
right? Oh man, they must be doing great. Meanwhile, I personally feel like the people who post the most on social media are the ones who live the most opposite lives behind closed doors.
He says it all the time.
Because why are you trying to portray something so much?
Right.
You know what I mean? Something.
Yeah.
But anyways, but today in the world, you have to do something to keep yourself on top of your game.
Mm-hmm.
And what to say when you talk to yourself. If you're somebody who really likes the science behind things, you'll really like that book. Sometimes I need to know like the why behind the what for me to get it.
Yeah.
Rather, because I don't like to be told what to do. So if somebody
Right.
just says you should do this,
Tell me why.
Tell me why.
Yeah, how did it work for you? What are your examples,
Right,
type of thing?
right,
Yeah, I like
right.
that.
So the reason this book is so studied because it's helped me so much that I've done trainings on it to people to
nice.
help them.
Yeah.
Some other books, this
I
is
was
like,
gonna say you got 7 books. If you could, like,
Yeah.
just name them and then tell me which
like
one's
what
like your
they,
favorite.
yeah. So they all have different meanings. So like what to say when you talk to yourself, changes how you think about yourself. If you think you're a loser, if you think you can't do something, you can change that.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay where you're at.
Right.
And that's what that book did for me because I didn't grow up with seeing success. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom worked her butt off to survive as a single mother. And, I didn't know what it looked like to be
Yeah.
successful. I had to make myself successful.
Right.
Right.
People skills are one of the most important things. And isn't it funny how small these books are? Sometimes it's the
Right.
smallest books that make the biggest
Right.
impact. But people skills, if you're going to grow any type of large business, now it's different. If you want to just be a small business or trade and sit, behind a desk and you don't got to interact with people, that's different. But most businesses, when you want to get big and you want to make passive
Gotta know
income,
how to talk to people.
you got to know how to treat people, talk to people, lead people.
Customer service is important.
So important, so important. So How to Win Friends and Influence People is obviously a classic, right? It's like the most basic things ever, but I always tell people start here. This is just a great place to start. Little things like remembering people's names, right? Asking yes questions. Like there's
Yeah.
just little things in there that are
Right.
really helpful. This is a beautiful book, bringing out the best in people. If you're leading any type of team, I highly suggest this book. It's not so much about managing, but leading and helping people be the best they could be.
Yeah.
Really helpful. The Art of Persuasion. So this was one of the best books, honestly, in my personal journey that really helped me. Bob Berg, phenomenal author. He has a ton of books. But it's not about...
Is that a carrot?
That is a carrot. Chasing the carrot. But I remember I was halfway through this book. I was reading. You can see all the study highlighting.
Yeah.
And I went into, I was just reading all these like people skill books, and I went into Panera, and they had a name tag. Said, "Hey Dave, how's your day today? How's it going?" I just start being nice, use their name, like all these books teach me. And I go to pay for my coffee. He goes, "Just take it." And I was like, "Oh my God, these books are working!" Like you know what I mean? It was like my first like light bulb moment of like, wow, this is really working. Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of the first books that really got me obsessed with passive income. It also got me excited about real estate, but I have mentors that have real estate investments, and they taught me a lot. And real estate's, in my opinion, a timing thing. I don't think it's a great place to start as an entrepreneur. I think it's a great way to make money for you whenever you're already in a good place, personally. But that's how Robert Kiyosaki made a lot of his money. But he has so many books, cash flow quadrants. So he talks about the cash flow quadrant in every book, right? He wrote, the cash flow quadrant says there's 4 ways you can make money. And he puts it into like a quadrant like that. He says you can be an employee, you can be self-employed, you can be a big business owner, or you can be an investor. And then he splits it up into 2 sides, and he says if you're an employee or a self-employed person, now I didn't know there was a difference between business owner and self-employed, but there is. Self-employed is just you.
Right.
You own a salon and it's just you, or whatever, you paint houses, it's just you.
Right.
The money the money that comes in still depends on you and how much work you put in. But when you take a leap over to the other side of the quadrant, where you're a big business owner or an investor, you now are leveraging either people or money to make more money. You have leverage. You're not trading your time for dollars.
Right.
You're actually leveraging something for money.
Right.
And that's what he taught me. And this Robert Kiyosaki, honestly, if I could ever meet that guy, I would thank him because he changed my life with his books, honestly.
Okay.
Outwitting the Devil will scare you out of mediocrity. We were just talking about this. You're reading it for the second time.
Anybody that has ever made any type of money, always, and it's crazy. Shout out Brian, just like a year ago, 2 years ago, I was talking about something, and he sent me that book, and what's the other one?
We're talking about so many books.
It's another one in the book.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
He sent me both of them for free. He just sent them to me. And it took me a while to pick it up, but I had picked up that second one last, and it's just like, I just kind of like started forcing myself to read it, but like, it's a great read.
Yeah, this didn't get released till after he died. He didn't want it to be, he told his wife, don't let this book get released until I'm gone.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a crazy, crazy story. And then the entrepreneur roller coaster is really good for anybody who's even just thinking about being an entrepreneur. It's going to give you that heads up what entrepreneurship is really like, because it is a roller coaster. It's ups and downs. It's fast. It's slow. It's so much entrepreneurship, I think, comes with emotional stability. You have to be able to emotionally handle the ups and downs and the negative. And
which one do you think was your favorite then?
What to say when you talk to yourself.
That one? Okay.
Yeah, because it changed my mindset. It helped me believe that I could be an entrepreneur. Because even though I wanted it for a long time, I can't say I always believed in myself.
Yeah, well, you have to. Yeah, that's a big part of self-development, self-growth,
Right.
and especially if you're getting into the entrepreneur side.
Right.
Like if you are going to take that leap and step out and want to make something of your own on your own without working for someone else, like you have to believe in yourself that you can do it. That's a really big part of no matter what it is, music, art, photography, business, doesn't matter. Like you have to believe in yourself, that, or else why are you doing it?
100%.
You know, it's not going to be successful if you don't believe in yourself.
Right. So books are great. I always look at books and podcasts and things like this as indirect mentorship. I think there's two types of mentorship. There's indirect, where you're learning from things on the outside, right? And then there's direct mentorship. There's coaching. There's people that can actually help you, to keep you accountable, to help you set goals, right? To keep you uplifted in the down times. I think that's so important. So what's crazy is whenever I ended up going to Duquesne for entrepreneurship, I was looking for a mentor. I would walk up to every teacher, ask them about themselves. Like I would interview my teachers to see if there was somebody who could help me.
Right.
And sadly enough, most weren't even entrepreneurs teaching these classes, which is super sad. So I prayed every day to God to bring me a mentor. I'm like, please bring me somebody.
Yeah.
It took almost a year, but thanks. It's all in His timing, right?
Exactly.
Right. But eventually, my husband calls me. It's so crazy. I feel like we're all in the industries we're in on such a thin thread sometimes. You know what I mean? If that one person you met didn't happen, or if you didn't go, if you didn't go to that bar that night, you guys would not be together, right? There's such a thin thread in our lives. And my husband calls me one day and he goes, "Hey, word for word, I met this guy. We were talking about business. I told him he needs to talk to you." That was it.
Yeah.
This guy didn't even get a name. And I was like, all right, let's talk. I don't know who he is. I'll interview him. I'll see who he is. And I meet this guy, super cool, but really he was telling me about his mentor. He was kind of the doorway
Middleman.
to his mentor.
Yeah.
And then finally, 2 months later, I finally got a meeting with his mentor. She retired at 31 years old, started a business at 20, retired completely by 31. And she was this young girl. You know what I mean? It wasn't some old guy I had before. No, nothing wrong with that.
Right. It was
but
just
it was
different perspective.
somebody I can really relate to, and I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Your mentor should be somebody you can feel open with, you can tell things, you can
should
really
be able to
relate to, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you, God, this is it. This is my mentor.
That's great.
And then that's when I got excited about e-commerce, because that's what she did. So I came to her with all these business ideas. I'm like, I want this ice cream shop. I might want to do this with ice cream. I might want to, actually, I thought about this business and that business. And she goes, let me ask you something. Hold on, slow down. I go, okay. She goes, let me ask you something. Everybody's going to ask you, what do you want to do? Right? The moment you wanted to own a business, they're come up with a business idea, right? I'm like, yeah, that's what they said. Come up with an idea. She goes, I'm not going to ask you that question. I want to ask you, how do you want to live? I want you to describe your perfect life to me. What would your perfect day look like? And I was like, wake up when I want to wake up, not be told what to do.
Exactly.
I just graduated college, so now I'm getting into a full-time job. I'm like, this sucks. I have no time to do what I want. It's taking the best hours of my day. I'm exhausted by the end of the day. I don't have time to go to the gym, cook great dinner. I always wanted. I love to cook. I always wanted to have a huge kitchen and cook big dinners and things like that. And she goes, all right, let's look at these businesses. For instance, the ice cream shop. You're going to have to be there at 6 a.m. and you're going to have to be there all day watching over your employees.
Right.
You're going to have to do payroll. You're going to have to do all this office work. Is that going to give you the life you want? I was like, no.
Yeah.
And she was like, here's the thing. You can, some people make their passions their business, which is cool. But sometimes when you make your passions something you need for money, you kind of lose your passion for
Yeah.
it,
100%.
you know? And she goes, what if you could get money out of the way and then live your passions? And that's when she started teaching me about passive income and introducing some of these books to me. I did not know that you can make money in your sleep.
Yeah.
No idea. My dad actually told me growing up why you need to rewire your brain sometimes. My dad told me you either have money or you have time. You will never have both. And then all of a
People
sudden,
say that. I've
I
heard
start
that
meeting
before.
people who have time and money.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, I've been lied to my whole life.
Right.
This is wild. And that's what I wanted. I
Yeah.
wanted to make money in my sleep. I wanted to live the best life I could. And when I described my dream life, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I want a private jet and a yacht. It was like, I want time.
I feel like that's for a lot of entrepreneurs, is just the time, like
Right.
the time to live your life how you want to.
Right.
And you know, when family comes into play, like
Right.
a lot of people want to, like stay-at-home moms or dads, they want to be able to live their life and, you know, raise their kids
Right.
or do whatever the case
Right.
is, you know, be more of a hands-on individual.
Right.
Society was so used to, like, okay, your parents go to work, you go to school, your
Right.
parents pick you up from school, you go home, you do your
Right.
it's
Everybody
all-
like goes their separate ways.
Yeah, exactly.
And you wonder why the divorce rate's so high.
Right, but there's so much more to that, like entrepreneurship. You can, you know, like you said, wake up on your own time,
Yeah.
hit the gym when you
It's
want
time
to.
freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, time
Yeah.
freedom is so important.
Right.
I don't
But
think
not all businesses give you that.
no.
So
Not
you
at
gotta
all.
watch what business you get into
Yeah,
sometimes.
Absolutely.
And
Some
I-
people, I don't work a 9 to 5, I work a 9 to 9.
Yeah, right, right,
And
yeah,
all that.
yeah. But I wanted time with my family too, and I wanted to have kids. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I also wanted to have a family. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to like be one of these super rich people and have no family life, and you know, so
Yeah.
it was finding the right business. And I thank God that the business that I am in came to me with e-commerce, with being able to make passive income, with being able to help other people too.
Yeah.
That was huge. I wanted to make an impact and help other
100%.
people. You
Yeah,
know,
you talk about that all the time, making an impact.
yeah, yeah.
So, what are some lasting? Because I'm sure we're running on time.
Yeah.
What are some lasting words or advice that you have for our viewers, whether people that want to get into e-commerce or just anybody that wants to, you know, branch out and, you know, start their own business, or just stop, you know, letting other people tell
Yeah.
them
That's what I was
they
gonna
should
say.
do,
Yeah.
you know, because before meeting him, like that's how it was for me. Like I was just gonna go on this path that I was told that would be the best for me,
Yeah.
and you know, see what happens. I knew I wanted to have my own business. I just didn't know what that business
Right.
was.
Right.
So, you know, meeting him and his mindset has always been of a hustler mentality. You know, I had to develop that my own, and
Yeah.
just like what makes me happy, what do I want to do,
Right.
and things like that. So, what advice do you have for our viewers with stepping out into your own entrepreneurship, e-commerce? Like, what do you have advice-wise
Yeah.
for them?
Number one, just have an open mind.
It's important.
Most of us end up based on the advice we take.
Yeah.
Be very careful who you take advice from. I would never ask somebody who is obese how to be in shape. I would never ask my brokest friend, how do I manage my money, right? But that's what we do, right? One of my mentors always says, if somebody played sports, did you play sports? I had a feeling. I knew you
Yeah.
played. Would you play football, basketball?
Football, basketball.
All of them, right?
played- she
You
played
played
shit.
sports,
Basketball.
right? Let me ask you a question. If somebody was gonna give you advice on the field, right? Who would you listen to more, your mom or your coach,
Coach,
right? But who do you love more?
my mom.
I would hope so, right?
Oh, see, for
Just
me,
like I was saying about
for me,
that,
it's the
with
opposite.
that bodybuilding, we're gonna listen to somebody that's not even doing
Right.
what I'm trying
Right,
to do.
exactly.
Right. So the people you love
Yeah.
or that love you, they want to. They're believe me. It's not that they're trying to hurt you. They're just
They want the
trying.
best for you.
Yes, but they don't know,
It's their
Right?
version.
right?
It's their version of what's best for you.
Now, if your mom's a super successful entrepreneur and living the exact life you want, go for it. But I'm assuming you're trying to change the generational curses that have already been going through your family tree.
Right.
Right.
You're trying to change those. So if you want a different life than your family tree, you have to step outside of your family tree and take advice from somebody else. Just make sure they have the life you want, because people love to give advice.
And people also don't look at it that way. Like, if you go to a friend and you ask them for their advice, like, is it just because that's your friend and you want their opinion,
Right.
or do they have that particular advice that you are looking for?
Right.
Do they have that down pat?
Right,
Like
right.
relationship advice or money advice, like
Right.
are they stable in those areas where you can ask? But people don't. I mean,
Right.
I've even done that.
Right.
Times. You don't look at it like that. You just look at them as that friend and you know
Right.
the connection. You don't look at, okay, well, do they have that aspect
Right.
working out for them or not? Like,
Right, and
don't-
people
like
will
you
give
said.
advice regardless.
Yeah,
But the biggest thing is make your own decisions.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and the only way you start to get this wisdom where you know you're like making good decisions and have good gut feeling is from failing. It's
Yeah.
from making bad decisions, trying things,
Mhm.
and then learning from them.
yeah,
Otherwise, you just don't know. You don't have that intuition yet.
yeah.
You know, you have to build that intuition. But so many people are so scared, so they just don't make the decision at all.
Right.
We try all the time, different logos, different
Right?
merchandise.
I respect
and
what you guys are doing big
some
time.
works and you know we're successful with it, others don't, and we're like, damn, like we're just sitting on this, like where did we go wrong? But then you know we just, okay, let's try something new, and
Right.
that's mainly him. Like he's the creative, so like it's, you know, okay, I think we should do this. Okay, let's get the right, you know, clothing behind
Yeah.
it. Let's see how we can do that. But yeah, I mean, just you know, taking your failures or the things that
Right.
don't work as lessons to try to on trying to move better and do better. You
Right.
know, moving forward.
Always ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? You know, I have a couple mentors, they own a medical practice and they work in nursing homes. And they always ask the older people, like, what would you have done differently?
Mhm.
And all of them say, they tell us, all of them say, I wish I would have taken more risks.
Yeah,
I wish I would have tried more.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes episode 29. We appreciate you so much. This was so
Yeah,
valuable. I'm going to take a
absolutely.
picture of those books before I leave so
Awesome.
I can get on Amazon and start getting them. But we just dropped episode 28, so you guys will see that before you see this one. Episode 29, we're almost at 30.
We didn't drop 28
That's
yet.
awesome.
By the time this drops,
Oh, yeah.
28 will have been dropped already.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, 28 is already dropped. So you guys check that out. Check this out, episode 29. Next one
Yeah.
will be 30. Maybe do a giveaway or something
There
for
you go.
episode 30.
And if anybody wants to learn more about what I do, just
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
reach
put,
out.
We're gonna
Yeah,
put all
drop
your
all the
handles
links.
in the video, in the description, everything. So whoever is interested in, you know, what she does or wants to reach out, and you know, she could be
100%.
your mentor. You know, we will
Hey.
put all her information in our description so you guys can get that. Episode 30 will be coming shortly. You know, by the time this drops, you know, the holiday season is coming. We still have so much more. I'm not anti-social, I'm selectively social. Hoodies available, t-shirts available, and we have our dual Swavey beanies available too. So definitely check that out on our website. Yeah, and that concludes episode 29. So my name is Marlena,
Rob Jeezz.
and this is
Krista.
Krista. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.